Good morning and welcome to Networking Without a Net. My name is Brian J. and I'm here with you today from the Whole New Home Creative Community as part of our Creative Business Support Program. Whole New Home helps designers, artists and artisans connect with new customers and earn more money. Our community events and our online tools are designed with one thing in mind: to help you build your business and achieve the success that you want. We're based in the beautiful city of Vancouver, Canada. Today I'm very happy to introduce Dr. Jennifer Salisbury, our in-house business success coach, and she's going to teach us how to engage and connect like a networking pro. Dr. Jen is passionate about creating success for each and every member of our creative community. An author, business owner, educator, and yes, an ex-nuclear engineer with the US Navy, Dr. Jen has coached over 1,500 entrepreneurs. So welcome, Dr. Jen.
So here's what you can expect from this webinar. As creative entrepreneurs, networking is nothing new, but I can tell you that there are certain situations that are definitely awkward. So let's just talk about those. Then I'm going to give you my 1, 2, 3 prep for the networking event itself, why you're even going. And we'll talk about different ways to approach the event and how to deal with these awkward situations, especially graceful exits. I've been asked quite a few times of, if the conversation is going nowhere, how do I leave? How do I leave without being rude? So we'll talk about it. And then I'm going to give you a challenge. So that's what you can expect from today's webinar. Okay, so when I was preparing for today's webinar and networking events in general, I get lots of people asking me, Jen, why don't you just tell us one of your biggest nightmares? Okay, well, the truth is that I have done just about every nightmare you can think of. I've tripped in front of everybody. I noticeably forgot the presenter's name. I've come out of the washroom with my skirt in the back of my pantyhose. Oh yeah, that's been fun. I think that was my favorite. I thought someone was waving to me across the room. I'm waving back. I'm waving back to no one. All of those are just terribly awkward. I've had them all done. So I'm not sure if I can just say one networking nightmare because they're all equally awkward. So the first thing that we can do, of course, these are all called red-faced moments. So I put a little picture of SpongeBob in here. Red-faced moments is the pinnacle of uncomfort or discomfort for most people, especially in new situations. So why are networking situations avoided? Well, like we said, they're awkward. There's a lot of discomfort involved. It can be very intimidating, especially in a new environment and a new group of people, but you know that you need to be there. You know you need to be there for some reason, and you've got to overcome all of these negative aspects of these networking situations, but take comfort. You are not alone. Just about everyone that's in a networking situation feels just like you do. They're all feeling awkward. Everyone's feeling uncomfortable, and they're all intimidated, and they're all looking for something that they know they need to be there for. So take comfort in that. So let me give you my 1, 2, 3 steps for prepping for the event. Now, if you set up the event like this, you have a huge chance of actually not only achieving your goal, but having fun. Oh my gosh, what do you know? It would be really great to actually have fun at a networking event. So the very first thing that you need to do is create a goal. Why are you even going? This is what I call the grief to dollars ratio. So the grief that you're going to go through for the awkwardness of this networking situation has to be less than the reward you're going to get. The grief to dollars ratio is very easy for business owners in general to understand, and this applies to every situation you're in business. Networking is no exception. So create a goal for attending. So if you're looking for new clients, or you're looking for a new bookkeeper, or whatever your reason for attending the networking event, or maybe it's just to get out there and break through this fear you have, great. make sure you have a goal for attending. Next, get in your power outfit. And most of the time, you've got some outfit in your closet, whether girls it's a dress, or you've got a great pair of boots, or guys you're just wearing a really, really sharp suit. Whatever it may be, you want to get in the outfit that you have that just makes you feel awesome. Get in your power outfit, because if you can just show up dressed to kill, that's going to be awesome. Now don't forget your hair, your grooming, nails, whatever you need to do, make sure that you feel amazing. Now here's the trick to prepping for the event. Once you've got your goal, you're in your power outfit, make sure you arrive on time. So schedule time so you can get ready. You don't want to arrive late. You want to arrive on time, but you certainly don't want to arrive stressed. We're trying to downplay the awkwardness in this networking situation. So budget your time to get ready. Again, it'll set you up for the event itself. Now here's another trick that I use actually all the time. If I've got some nerves, you breathe. This is called the Wonder Woman pose, and you can see why. But you stand with your feet apart, hands on your hips. Anytime you've got nerves, especially for example, like when you're about to go into a networking event, or when you're about to do some kind of a professional presentation maybe. Even go in the washroom. Just breathe. This will take your nerves down. You want to calm everything down. It really, really quiets the butterflies in your stomach. This really works. So here's your prepping for the event. 1, 2, 3. Create the goal. Get in your power outfit. Make sure you show up on time. And in the event you are nervous, breathe through it. Okay, so here you are. You have arrived. You're arrived on time. You're coming in, and you're going to scope out the place. You want to check out this place that you're going to be. Name tag. You usually will have a name tag at a check-in table of some kind. If you don't have a professional name tag, make sure you write one out. Now, just a note about the name tags. If you are going to an industry networking event, make sure you put your name and your company name. But if you're going to something that's more generic business, you can put your industry instead, or you can put your industry and your company name. So just make sure you clearly identify for people that are going to meet who you are. It's a talking point for later on. Make sure you note where washrooms are. Sometimes that's important, sometimes not. Business cards. If you've got business cards in your pocket with a pen, the pen is the trick here. It's not enough just to have the business cards. Make sure you have something to write with, and then you are set to approach people. Start networking. So there's 2 types. Either you've arrived, you're either going to approach an individual, or you're going to approach a group. It's one or the other. Now, if you are with someone else and you're approaching, now you and this other person are together, the approach is the same, so just go with it, even if you're by yourself or with a group. So if you're approaching an individual and you want to connect with them, there's a couple of different things that you can do. First thing I do is I compliment them on something that they are wearing, something, maybe they've got cool glasses. I wear glasses, and so if I see someone that's wearing cool glasses, I'll ask them about their glasses. Now, if that's not your style, you can acknowledge the event, and that would sound like this. Wow, this looks like a great setup. Now, here's the trick. Either one of these, you want to try to turn into a question. If you can compliment them and turn them into a question, then you're actually starting to engage this individual. So compliment them. If I was going to approach someone about their glasses, I'd say, wow, those are amazing glasses. Did you get those around here? Something like that. And it would at least start the conversation. So that's with an individual. Either compliment them or acknowledge the event, but turn it into a question either way. Okay, if you're approaching a group, this is a little bit different. Is the group open to your approach? Now here's how you figure out if they're open. A closed group, look at their feet. If their feet are making a square, now this is only 2 people, but even if it was 3, you can tell that their body language, they're aligned, usually their eyes are locked. You can tell that their focus is on the conversation and not looking around. In contrast, if you're looking at an open group, you look at their feet, usually their gaze is wandering a little bit. In this case, you are what we call the hoverer. Now, coming up, I'll talk about how you include hoverers in your conversation. But if you're approaching a group, look at their feet, look at their eye contact. If they're open, if their feet are open or they're looking around, guess what? That's an open group. Go and join the group. And here's one of the very first things that you do, whether you're approaching an individual or a group, either way, you usually give them the handshake, right? You give them the handshake, or you can give them a fist bump. And so here's Michelle and Barack Obama giving a fist bump. Or, depending on the situation, you can do an elbow bump. Now, I do this in a couple of situations. If you're at a networking event, here's Steve Martin and Obama. If you're at a networking event where you've got drinks and appetizers, you basically have a drink in one hand and appetizer in another, which doesn't give you a free hand to shake hands. So sometimes a nod will work, or if you want to be a little bit different, you can give them an elbow bump. Like I've given you the picture there with Steve Martin and Barack Obama. The other situation that an elbow bump works is if you're meeting someone and they happen to either have dirty hands or they don't want to put down what they've got or whatever it is, maybe their hands are full of something, and it's appropriate that you acknowledge them more than a nod, you can give them an elbow bump. And the elbow bump almost always gets a laugh. So if you want to engage someone for the first time and give them an elbow bump, it actually works really well. But this has got to fit your personality. And remember, we're trying to dial down the awkwardness. So if that seems awkward to you, don't do it. Do what's comfortable. Okay, so you meet someone either as an individual or in a group, and you somehow handshake, fist bump, elbow bump them, and then they talk about their name. 90% of people forget the name within 10 seconds. Okay, say their name, bitch. Now, I put that in there on purpose. Most people's eyes are drawn to what's wrong. You're drawn to the profanity. And I put that in there because in the movie American Pie, that's one of the ways that you remember that name, is because that's the line, say my name, bitch. Well, guess what? If you're shaking someone's hand or interacting with them for the first time, and before you let go of their hand, or before that time period where you're still interacting, still learning their name, say their name at least twice, 3 times if you can. So if I meet someone and I'm shaking their hand and they say, yes, my name's Joe. Great, my name's Jen. Nice to meet you, Joe. Tell me, Joe, what do you do for a living? And I try to say their name as much as possible. Now, someone sent me a TED Talk recently about saying names. They said, say your name properly with voice inflection. And the voice inflection, when you meet someone, would sound like this. Hi there, I'm Jennifer Salisbury. Jennifer Salisbury. And so you go up, a little bit of a pause, and down. Now, this may or may not work. Again, we're trying to dial down the awkwardness, but that's one way that you can set someone up to remember your name. So you can say their name. Here's a couple other tricks. You can fake it. You can act like you know their name, but you don't actually remember it. You can use a trained wingman. Now, here's what I mean by this. I've got my husband, Michael, trained. When we go somewhere and we're talking with people or meeting people for the first time, he knows that if I'm introducing him to someone and I don't say that person's name, he knows that I have forgotten the guy's name or the person's name. So he will say, hi, I'm Michael, what's your name? He will purposefully ask their name. Now, of course, there's a default here. If they're wearing a name tag, look at their name tag. But ladies, be careful of the placement of your name tag. Make sure it's above, not on or below, if you know what I mean. Make sure you're not making it awkward for gentlemen to look at your name tag. Here's the other thing you can do. You can admit that you've forgotten their name. That is perfectly acceptable. In fact, not too long ago, I met someone at sort of a busy environment, and I was shaking her hand, and I said, "Hi, I'm Jennifer Salisbury." And I didn't say it the way that the TED Talk said, but she turned to me, and she looked at me, and she said, "I'm sorry, could you tell me your name again? I wasn't really listening." I found that was really amazing, that she admitted she forgot the name. And I thought, yeah, of course, I'm Jennifer Salisbury, absolutely. I thought that was really neat. So once you get through your handshake or fist bump, whatever you're going to do, you tackle the name, either you've remembered it or you haven't. Then, here we go, find your connection. One of the things that you would want to do for your connection, you can get their business card. Now remember, you went to the event with your business card. So if they have forgotten theirs, use your business card for them. Make sure that you can write on the back of your card, but here's the trick. Write the connection on the card. Write the connection on the card. Whatever you were talking about, or maybe you both have kids that are in soccer or something. Make sure that you write the connection on the card. Now, this is no different than if you're sitting in an airplane, sort of a closed environment, and you start chatting with the person next to you on this airplane, and all of a sudden you figure out that their aunt taught your cousin at a school in Manitoba, and instantly the light bulbs go off and everybody is happy because you finally have some connection. Well, that would be the connection that you write on the card. And of course, in the middle of all this, remember your goal. Remember why you're even there. Remember what is so important of you going there and dressing up, arriving on time, is to connect with people, but keep your goal in mind. Okay, so you are engaging with other people, either you with another individual or you with a group, and someone is approaching, which we call a hover. So the first thing I ask is your conversation open? If it's not, then that's fine, and it should be obvious. Sometimes hoverers don't see it. They will continue to hover. If your conversation is closed, you can either continue on and the hover will move on, or open the conversation. Shift your feet, include them with your eyes, and it's simply to make eye contact with them. You acknowledge them, and then bring them into the group. If you're having a conversation about something and they're overhearing it, that's probably what's drawing them into the group. So include them into the group and just say, we were just having a conversation about logistics, about supply chain management, or the cost of fuel. We were having this conversation. What do you think? And introduce them to the group. And the trick to this is help them find the connection, because now they're coming into the group. Help them find the connection. Okay, let's go to what happens with the phone. What happens if their phone goes off? If their phone goes off and it's, it makes different chimes for texting or ringing and all the different things that goes off. If their phone goes off, you can give them permission to answer it. That's what I always do. Please, if you have to answer that, please take it. That's sort of my acknowledgement to them that if they have to step away, they can. They don't need my permission. Sometimes they'll say, well, do you mind? Well, no, I don't mind. Go right ahead. But what if your phone goes off? Now, here's where we start talking about exiting the conversation. Now, at this point, you've already met the person. You've exchanged names. You've exchanged business cards. You've already connected with them. So if your phone goes off and your conversation is over, you can use your phone as a reason to exit the conversation. Not necessarily the best choice, but you can do it, or you can silence it. Either way, but let's talk more about exiting the conversation. Okay, if time is an issue, meaning you've got to leave the event or some reason you've got to deal with time, Here's a trick I use all the time. I think I use this probably every day. Instead of either pulling out my phone to look at the time or looking at my watch, I will look at their watch or someone else's watch around me. Or if I've scoped the place out properly, there may be a clock in the room, especially if I know I'm going to have to watch the time. I will actually look for a clock in the room. So if time is an issue, or if I have to look at my watch, I will say, my apologies, I've got to watch the time, I've got to leave the event here soon, something like that. But I will try to avoid looking at my own watch, but that's one way that you can do it. Another way you can do it is your body language. You can shift your body. If you actually shift away, just sort of lean back. If you're standing, you can lean back or open your feet, like I showed you the footprints before. You can open your stance a little bit, and this is sort of saying, okay, I'm subliminally saying that I'm about ready to leave, and that's fine. Also, beware that the other person may be doing this as well. They may be ready to leave as well. Now, that's if you're standing. If you're sitting, you kind of want to scoot forward on your chair. Scoot forward on your chair like you're going to get up, and that's another shift in your body language that will imply that you are about ready to exit the conversation. One of my favorite tricks is acknowledging the event again and saying something like, wow, this is such a great setup. I want to make sure I see it all. Thanks so much. I've got your business card. And then here's the other trick, is plant the seed for the next contact, especially if they're involved in your goal. So this could be someone that is a potential client or a potential employee or whatever your goal was. Throw something out there like, can I email you? Maybe we can do coffee next week or something like that. It is possible that this person is just a good, nice person to add to your Rolodex, and that's fine. But you can acknowledge the event and say, you know, I want to make sure I see everything, and I see some other people I haven't met yet, and that's fine. And quite honestly, if you're thinking of exiting the conversation, they probably are as well. So we're just trying to find a graceful way to do that without seeming rude. That's the trick. Okay. So let me sum up for you a couple of networking do's and don'ts, actually more than a couple, but let me just sum up some of these things. So dress to work it. You want to come to this event completely confident that you are just ready to work the event. If you want to, bring a professional name tag, and as I mentioned before, I actually have several name tags depending on what hat I am wearing and depending on the environment. If it's an industry environment, your name and your company name, or if it's a business environment, like for example the Chamber of Commerce or something where a lot of people from a lot of industries are going to be, you could have your name, your industry, and if you want to, your company name also. Just depends on how you do it. But you can just have one with your name. That works too. Make sure you bring a pen, something to write with. If you forget something, then the venue where you're at may have something, especially if it's a hotel, they may have something for you to write with. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you bring business cards. Make sure you bring enough. I usually have a stash either in my car, or if I have a briefcase or a computer bag, I will bring extras just in case. You don't want to run out. And if you need to, bring a trained wingman. My husband is really good at this, and if you always market yourself or you attend networking events with a friend, make sure you can key off of each other. This is really key, especially in remembering people's names. Remember to be yourself. That's the best part of marketing yourself as a creative entrepreneur. You be uniquely you. So here's some don'ts. Don't stress about getting ready. It just adds to the awkwardness. And don't arrive late. It just adds, again, it makes you feel uncomfortable if you're walking in and the networking event or the speaker is already starting. It just makes you feel even more uncomfortable. Don't worry about forgetting names. If you forget the name of whoever you're talking with, just admit it, or if your wingman comes up, great, But don't worry about it. Again, 90% of people forget the other person's name in 10 seconds. There is a good chance that if you've forgotten their name, they've probably forgotten yours too. It's okay. Don't look at your watch. Look around. Look at someone else's watch. If you have to look at your watch, you can, but it should be as a last resort. Don't fret. Everyone in that room feels the way you do about uncomfortable situations like networking. So don't worry about it. Don't stress about it. Just calm down. If your nerves get away from you, do the Wonder Woman breathing for 2 minutes. It works wonders. I actually do it often. And then don't forget your goal. The goal is the whole reason why you're at this event. Okay. What you got from this webinar. We talked about why networking is awkward, why it's avoided. I gave you my 1, 2, 3 punch for prepping for the event. We talked about approaching the awkwardness and working the event itself, along with graceful exits. And here's my challenge to you. I want you to seek out a networking event, whether it's industry related or business related, either one, that you know you should go. You know you should go for some reason. Use at least one trick from this webinar. And I gave you over 30. So use at least one trick and then tell me about it. Oh, feel great about setting your goal, but I want to hear all about it. If you triumphed and you created a goal, especially for networking, email me. I want to know that you did it. That's fantastic, and I am so excited that you're going to do this, that you're going to take this challenge and email me. But here's the trick. Be yourself, even in awkward situations, not just networking. The whole point of marketing yourself as a creative entrepreneur is you need to be uniquely you, even in these awkward situations. So what we'll do now is I can turn on my webcam, and if there's any questions, I'll answer.
Thank you, Dr. Jen. That was fascinating. You know, in today's interconnected world, it's more important than ever, isn't it, to go out and meet people in person. And I think that there is a lot of awkwardness around that. We do feel nervous, and the tips and tricks that you've given us today is so helpful. So what I want to do right now is open up some questions, and I'm going to jump right in with my question, and that is, okay, I've got these new networking skills. Mm-hmm. Help me. Where can I go and put these skills into action? Give me some places I can go network.
Awesome. Great question. Where can you go to actually network? It depends on your goal. It depends on what you are trying to accomplish. And I mentioned a couple of different general places that you can network. One is industry related. And so if there's membership associations for interior designers or artists and artisans, or there could be even meetup groups for certain industries. Of course, Whole New Home, that's a community, a creative community area as well. There's events for Whole New Home. And so that's a couple of options industry-wise.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump straight into, I've just got my eye on the clock, so.
Oh, sure.
I'm going to jump straight into the first question that's come up from Monica. Monica asks, I don't drink, but sometimes I feel like I'm expected to drink at events. What can I do? That's a great question.
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Monica asks a great question. If you're at a networking event that's got liquor at it and you don't drink, there's sort of an implied need to always have a drink. And it can be awkward for people if you're not a drinker, and I'm not a drinker. So when I approach someone at an event where there is alcohol, people always feel like they need to get me a drink. So here are a couple of tricks that I have to really reduce the awkwardness around this whole need to have a drink. The first thing that you can do is you can just hold an empty cup. Because if you're just holding the cup, it implies that you have a drink, even if it's empty. Or you can have water, or they have the little, it's food coloring, but it's little squirt food colorings that just, it flavors the water, but it looks like it's something. That's another trick that I use, is to put a little bit of one of those food coloring flavoring things into your drink, or just order a virgin drink. My favorite is a virgin Caesar. There you go. And so then you feel like you've got a drink, you're interacting, people don't feel like they need to get you a drink, and so that awkward situation takes care of itself.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Now, we have another question here from Penelope, and here's a good one. How do I get people to remember me, especially VIP guests who meet so many people? There's an ambitious, Penelope seems very ambitious. How can we answer that question? How do we get people to remember us?
Oh, that's a great question. How do you get people to remember you, especially VIPs who meet all kinds of people? Well, the short answer is be memorable. And there's all kinds of tricks that you can do, but a lot of these include getting outside of your comfort zone. So here's a couple of tricks that I've done. An easy one that may or may not get you remembered is you can wear your name tag upside down. You wear your name tag upside down, and a lot of people will come up and tell you that your name tag is upside down. Again, your eyes automatically go to what's wrong with this picture. The other thing that you can do is you can do something out of the ordinary. If everyone is approaching this VIP and shaking their hand and giving the head nod and doing certain things, okay, you can do a couple of different things that are memorable, but still professional. So the first thing you can do is, in your quick elevator speech, and I highly recommend that you have just two or three phrases that you have that are really bullet points for your elevator speech that you can say relatively quick. Say those, and usually one of those is a hook. So if I say something like, "Hi there, Mr. VIP, I'm Dr. Jennifer Salisbury. I'm with Whole New Home. I'm the resident business coach in Whole New Home, a socially responsible business that connects interior designers with clients." And usually they go, "In-house business coach? Why is that involved?" And so there's a couple of hooks in there. That's just one thing. If you're really ambitious, which I am, you can do something out of the ordinary that's beyond words. I have in the past done a couple of crazy things, like I've met someone who outright told me he wouldn't remember me, and then I kissed his cheek. And yeah, that's a little bit out of the ordinary, but guess what? He remembered me the next month when I saw him again. So you have to kind of be willing to live on the edge a little bit if you really want to be memorable and just be beyond something that is with the crowd. So that may be introducing more awkward situations, but that's how you do it. You have to be memorable.
Thank you everyone for your questions. Unfortunately, our time is up and we have to wrap this up. If you have any more questions, please send Dr. Jen an email to drjen@wholenewhome.com. That's drjen@wholenewhome.com. Please make note, the next webinar in the Business Support Series will be on Tuesday, March the 3rd at 9 a.m. PST, and it's called Becoming a Social Media Superstar, 17 Ways to Engage and Wow Your Audience. That's Tuesday, March the 3rd, 9 a.m. You can connect with us at any time at wholenewhome.com, and of course you can always send your burning business questions to Dr. Jen at drjen@wholenewhome.com. So thanks again for attending today. This has been Brian J. for Whole New Home. Bye for now.